You guessed it. Today we're going to be talking about Homer. Wait, what? No, not this Homer. Well, let's start talking about this Homer. You, Homer Simpson. You go in the trash. You belong in there. So, let's get started. And today we're going to be talking about the legendary Homer. Let's get started. Da 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 da. Homer, Dark John, Dark John. Homer, something. Let's get started. What's up, guys? It's been almost a year of Dark Sean, so I'll be releasing the Dark Sean about Dark Sean on March 31st of 2023. So let's get started. So we all know who Homer is. He's the legendary guy who wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey and helped dictate the Trojan War. And so how do we even know this guy? And why does he have no pupils in these eyes? Other than that, it's because it's a statue. It's because he was said to be born blind. But then how could he write all of this if he was blind? That's one of the problems that happened when we consider history. I've had some sources along the way, but the thing is, there's not much to really talk about Homer at all. There's no one knows when he was born. No one knows when he was dead, probably around the 8th or 7th century BCE anyway. And so yeah, that's pretty much how it works. And so let us start talking about what we do know. Fact number 1. Some people say that he didn't exist. So that's weird, but why? Well, let's consider this. We all know that he wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey, right? Well, we sort of know. I mean, the Odyssey and the Iliad are all great books, all right. But they are said, I've read the Iliad myself, I haven't read the Odyssey yet, but it is said that both of these books have different tones of, well, writing styles. They don't use the same rhyming and stuff, they don't even have the same things, and also there's much more to talk about too. They do, like, the Odyssey, basically Troy Story 2, because the Iliad literally translate into the Troy Story, and basically a lot of things happen. The Odyssey is basically the sequel of the Iliad. So what does the Odyssey have to do with the Iliad? And what does the Iliad have to do with the Odyssey? Seriously, I better turn off Wi-Fi. Great. So how does all of this add up? The thing is, maybe Homer didn't even exist. Well, I disagree, because for some reason, well, the Iliad was written sometime in the late 7th or early 8th century. So, and the plot of the Iliad and the Odyssey are all set in the year of the 13th or 12th century BCE. So, if Homer had to write exactly all of these details, then he would have to have been, or at least if he experienced all of them, he would have had to have been writing the Iliad and the Odyssey at the age of 500, when the lifespan back then was basically like 20 or lower. Even 0 years old. Or 1 day old. But, well, here's an explanation for all this. There would definitely have been people who have watched the Battle of Troy, or also known as the Trojan War. And so those people would have told it to other people too, in the names of music and songs. And so one day, whoa, that was loud. So one day, Homer would have listened to these, bards, that's what they would call them, singing about the Trojan War, and he decided to write them all, or I guess at least transport, into his new book, the Iliad. And then decided to actually write it in a different style. Well, the next sequel in a different style, because he probably wrote the Odyssey in a different part of his life after capturing other people's songs into his new book, the Odyssey. Homer out! And so that's basically how all of that happened. So that's all we know. But what about the modern day? Well, let's talk about back then. Plato did criticize Homer. First, Plato objected that Homer's myths had no regard to the truth. And second, Plato rejected Homer's heroes for thinking that death as the worst fate. But death does not hold such terror for those who know that the cosmos is so ordered that no evil can befall a good man, if not in this life, then the next. And so what was the Trojan War like anyway? I guess it was like any other war, having a lot of things, but the only thing that seemed to be weird about this is that there was a horse, which they could have thought and swore that would be drowned onto them. Luckily for them, they were sent to the city. Yay! Lucky for them. And then in the Odyssey, this is exactly what happened. Let's start off with Troy. So Odysseus leaves with 12 ships. Woo! And then on Isamaros, the crew pillages the town, kidnaps Cyclone's wives, and the Cyclone kills 76 of the troops. Let's go down through the Mare Agni, and in Cape Malea, Odysseus is blown off course, like this. Whoa! Next city up, it's in Caesarea, where there was a storm for 10 days. Wang, 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 wang. Phew, let's go. And there's a sea monster here. There's a sea nymph. And here's the World History Encyclopedia logo. Goes here through the Maris Mediterranean. And he ends up in Little Phagi, the land of the lotus eaters. And the crew eats addictive flowers and wants to say. And then Odysseus had to back to the ship so that they could go on and get back home. Let's travel upward. And then we end up in Aeolia, where the crew opens the bags of wind and is blown off course. And because they thought that the bag with the wind was a bag full of gold, which actually turned out to be a bag full of wind. This all happened after he blinded Cyclops, the Polyphemos, Poseidon's son. After that, he just tells his father to do. After that, his father just tells him to curse Odysseus. And then after that, the bag of wind happens. So now I'm confused here and utterly confused, so let's get up. Boop, 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 boop. He ends up in Lamos, where the Lastrygonians kill and eat most of the crew. He goes to Aea, where the goddess Circe turns the crew to swine, other name for pig, and he somehow convinces her and tricks her into turning it back to men. 1 year later, he goes back to the Cimmerians, and Odysseus enters the underworld, and that's good. Let's go back! And the sirens. The crew's blocks ears with wax to avoid the song magic, except for Odysseus, who is tied to a ram, who is tied to a pole, and tells his crew to be like, let me go! And his crew's like, what? Nope, they can't hear. And in Sicily, the monster eats 6 of the crew. And in 13, Carpida's monstrous whirlpool, they have to get away, and they barely managed. Let's go down. And 14, in Syraxana, the crew eats the oxen of the sun and is punished by Zeus. Odysseus is the only lone survivor. Let's travel back. And he, ends up in Ogygia, where Odysseus has a 7-year affair with the nymph Calypso. For some reason, he does not like it. And obviously, he wants his wife instead. Let's keep on traveling. And 16... Yeah, let's go. And here, in Cythera, Odysseus tells his story to the Phaeacians and is offered a ride home. And then let's offer him a ride home. And they're finally Cape Mania. Odysseus is blown off course. Oh no, that's the wrong thing. Here, in Ithaca, Odysseus returns home, kills his suitors who beset Penelope, his wife. And that's basically the whole Odyssey. Yay! And that took 10 years. Yay! Meaning he wasn't home for 20 years. Because 10 years for the Iliad, 10 years for coming back. Yay! 20 years, just as he promised. And so we may never know more about Homer than we do know, but we do know something. That his works are awesome works. And that there is nothing else to really talk about. So, hope to see you guys in the next episode. But before you go, hit that red subscribe button. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Shannon out. Peace. Pooh.